Alright, so here's my Monkey and my Super Cub, both 2019. Both have some work done to it, you know, modifications or upgrades, whatever you want to call it. They're both fun bikes and meant to be fun bikes to ride, at least for me anyways. But as far as the Super Cub goes, I have it set up more for function, I guess you could say, more utility, with the windshield on it, the rear racks, the pannier racks, the center rack here. Whereas the Monkey, I have rear rack as well, but that thing's like useless because it's so small. I mainly put it on there to fill in that space for the looks. So I'm gonna, compare these two. Looking at these two bikes, as you know or don't know, they both pretty much have the same engine. The gearing is, I'm not sure, actually I didn't look at the gearing, the internal gear, meaning the actual transmission and the crank, the gear off the crank, and the drive gear versus the driven gear off the crank that attaches to the clutch and all that stuff. I didn't look at it. But the final drive on the Super Cub is a 14 teeth up front. Monkey is a 15 teeth up front, and mainly that has to do with the tire size, right? Wheel size. You look at the Super Cub, it's a 17-inch wheels, whereas the Monkey is 12-inch wheels. So the two, that difference in teeth up front makes the two about the same in gearing, I believe. You won't know until you do the math on all the gearing and the RPMs and stuff, the wheel size, which I haven't done. I'm probably not going to do because it's not all that important to me. What I could say about that is speed-wise, acceleration, they seem to be about the same as far as I could tell. Acceleration is about the same, but top speed on the Super Cub is definitely higher. The highest I've seen on the Super Cub, on a slight downhill with a tailwind drafting a 18-wheeler, I got the Super Cub to an indicated 72 miles an hour. That's quite a bit. On the Monkey, I think the fastest I've ever gotten it was 62, maybe 63. I think that was also down, a little bit of a downhill tailwind, maybe a draft. I can't recall. But anyways, I got this thing up about a month ago, last month basically. I think the end of last month. And I got this thing back in May. But this one has more miles. It has over 2,000 miles because I rode it home from Arkansas. Whereas this one, I bought it locally, so that's why it doesn't have as many miles. As far as how they fit, as far as how they fit, body-wise, upper body, they have about the same, almost the same feel. Very close. The Super Cub's a little bit roomier in the upper body, but very close to the same feel. But the lower body is where the Super Cub has more leg room. When I'm sitting on the Super Cub, and I have a 30-inch inseam. I'm 5'7" on a good day. After I come out of the chiropractor, I might be 5'7", but otherwise I might be less than that. But anyways, 30-inch inseam, and my knees on sitting on the Super Cub is about 90 degrees, whereas the Monkey is less than 90 degrees. So it's a little bit more acute. So it doesn't feel as roomy. Leg isn't as comfortable after a few hours in the saddle. Speaking of the saddle, the Super Cub has a surprisingly decent saddle. Some people are complaining about it, but maybe because my butt fits it better than their butt. But it actually, I rode it home, 2,000 miles, right? And I was basically riding from sunrise to sunset pretty much almost every day, and it wasn't too bad, surprisingly. So yeah, I didn't, the whole 2,000 miles, I never felt like some bikes, after a few hours, you're like, oh man, my butt needs a break, or it's just like, your butt's just like aching and pain, and you can't stand to sit down anymore. The Super Cub wasn't like that. I did get a little, a little sore a little bit, but that's about it. Uh, Monkey, I'd never ridden the Monkey that long, so I don't know. The longest I've ridden it is probably maybe, let's see, maybe 6 hours or 8 hours straight. So I mean, that's still pretty long. Uh, uh, it feels like a cloud. It's the most comfortable seat I've ever sat on a motorcycle, of any motorcycle. Uh, so it's like sitting on a cloud almost. So it's a great seat, plenty of room, a lot of space. Whereas the Super Cub, with the Super Cub, especially after so many hours, I felt like I wanted to slide back another inch or two, but I couldn't because how the underneath the cushion here, the plastic part of the seat, there, it kind of really doesn't really allow it, or at least it's not very comfortable. Here at the edge, it's not very comfortable, so I was like right up against the edge. Whereas the Monkey, I had plenty of seat space. It's almost like a long, one of those banana seats almost. It's like a semi-banana seat almost, as far as length goes. So plenty of seat space, so that was good. As you slide back on the seat on the Monkey, it actually gives you more leg space as well. Right. So that's the fit. The Monkey overall fit-wise is slightly smaller, a little bit smaller than the Super Cub. Super Cub is actually very, it's great for my size. I mean, it's a Japanese bike. I'm probably about the same size as any Japanese person. Unlike say Americans are like much bigger. So the Super Cub might feel cramped if you're like 6'2" and 250 pounds. But for me, it fits like pretty much perfect. So that's the fit. Handling wise on the two, big difference in the wheel size, and this is probably the biggest factor on these two bikes. Considering that they pretty much have the same engine. They have completely, because of the geometry and the wheel size, they have completely different user experience. The Super Cub feels more like a big bike, more mature feeling. It's more comfortable because of the big wheels. It's more gyroscope, so it's a little bit more stable. Handles bumps much better. Even better than my Super Cub with the Öhlins. I have the Öhlins on my Super Cub, right? I have Öhlins front and rear. My Öhlins suspension front and rear. And even then, the Super Cub is actually more comfortable, smoother ride than the Monkey because of the bigger wheels. And I can feel that difference. Each time I hit those big potholes, that's a big difference in that feel. The Monkey moves more. It's like more because the small wheels, it kind of drops into the pothole, whereas the bigger wheels, it kind of floats over it. So it doesn't matter how good your suspension is, it's still kind of limited to your wheel size. With that said, it's a little bit more of a feels like a calmer ride, more mature ride. Whereas this one feels more like it feels like a funner ride, more exciting ride, a little bit less mature, more like this one feels like like a young adult in their 20s, and this one feels like it's still a teenager. Both youthful, but this one's a little bit spunkier in feel because of those wheel size. Engine power wise, they should put out the same power because they're basically the same engine. But I think the gearing's a little bit different. Also, I think the thing that makes the Super Cub a little bit faster too, especially on the top speed, is because it's more aerodynamic because of the the leg shield and stuff. And now that I have the windshield on here, it might be even able to hold the top speed a little better, or get to top speed a little better as well. That's usually the case. This windshield is small, but it makes a difference. The windshield is smoother than your chest. No matter what you do, even when you wear leathers, wearing leather is more aerodynamic than wearing a textile suit. But even then, the windshield is still more aerodynamic. So that's how the thing rides. And obviously the frame's can be different. If you look at the two, the length of the bike is completely different. It's the Super Cub is about length from from the tail all the way to the front, the tail here all the way to the front. Here, I would say it's probably about a foot longer than the Monkey, and the wheelbase too. The wheelbase is actually also longer as well. It's just eyeballing it here. It looks like it's just eyeballing where the axle is to where the Monkey axle is to the front axle, rear axle, front axle. It looks like it's a good 6 inches longer. So that actually changes the handling characteristics too. So that means this one is a little bit slower in handling, whereas the Monkey, because of the shorter wheelbase, it's quicker. The small wheels help being quicker, but also the short wheelbase helps as well. So yeah, so completely different user experience. Let's see. What else about it? Engine-wise, it's interesting what Honda did with the engine on both of these, how they're differently tuned actually. Looking at the Super Cub, looking at the header here, it's tiny. This header is very small. Let's see if I put my finger over this. I'm looking at it. It looks almost like the same size as my finger. Maybe slightly bigger than my index finger. Looking at the Monkey, it's a little bit bigger. So it tells me the Monkey, has a bigger header pipe, and this section right here is smaller as it goes to the cat, and the Monkey's cat is big too. The Monkey cat is like twice as big as the Super Cub's cat right here. After the cat, the header pipe actually gets even bigger up here. After the cat gets even bigger, then over here, where it slips on, it gets even bigger. So it's smaller, then obviously a big cat, then a little bit bigger, then even bigger. So it's like 3 stages of size in bigness. And looking at how it goes, it goes around and back up. So it's almost like kind of like a paper clip almost, looping around and up. So this the header length here is very long, right? It's very long. So that's, if you ever look at Honda, small displacement bikes, single cylinders, like on the, like this for example, or any of the scooters, you would notice that they have very long header pipes, very long exhausts. As far as from where it enters to where it exits at the tail, they're very lengthy. Super Cub is pretty long too, considering how long the muffler is. That length of muffler is pretty long. This one here, look at this cat right here. Look how small that is. So basically, it's like the width of my hand basically, and diameter-wise, it's real small as well. Whereas the Monkey, it's definitely wider than my hand. It's like the length of my hand, and it's like much wider, in girth. It's like this. It's like this big black cock to this small yellow Asian cock. Right? So the header on the Super Cub, let's see. So here's actually smaller. And actually after the cat, it actually gets a little bigger as well. So basically it's like a 2-stage up. And after that, not long after that, it slips on to the muffler. And the muffler is real long. Right? The muffler is like probably double the length of the Monkey muffler. The Monkey muffler is not that long, no? It's, looking at this, is probably only like a one and a half length of my hand. So it enters about right here. So about 1.5 length of my hand. From my tip to my pinky to thumb tip. Whereas the Super Cub, it's over double. It's over double length of my hand. It's like over 2.5 times longer. So you take the length from the exhaust, into where the header is, all the way out to the tail, from basically tip to tail. I think the length is probably pretty close to this length as well. When you loop it all around, pretty close. This might be slightly longer. So it's tuned differently, basically. Or the length is meant for, it works better with small displacement single cylinders, but the engine wise is tuned differently. Right, so there's that difference. Now obviously the Super Cub is it's a centrifugal clutch, so there's no clutch here. It's centrifugal, so which works pretty well. I like it. Let's see. I think the suspension on the Super Cub is a little bit soft. It feels a little bit soft to me. But then, the whole time that I rode it, because I did my trip, I had my gas tank right here, and I had the back with luggage, so it's heavier than I normally ride, right? So that could be why it felt softer. Whereas the Monkey, it doesn't. I never rode it with carrying a load. It's always been by myself. I know right now I have Öhlins, and the Öhlins definitely made it firmer. But even before then, the stock suspension, it felt firmer than in the Super Cub. But again, I never actually rode the Super Cub without carrying a load. Ever since I got home, I haven't ridden the Super Cub since I got home a couple weeks ago. I've been kind of busy doing things here and there. I was busy with, just busy basically. And I have I'm back up to 4 bikes now. I was trying to go down less bikes, but now I have 4 bikes again. So I had to, split my time between 4 bikes, mainly 3 bikes actually, because my scooter, my scooter is basically, I use that for commuting, so that doesn't count as a fun ride. I could ride it for fun, but I usually normally use it for commuting, whereas these other bikes are used for fun. Let's see. One thing I don't like about the Super Cub is that it doesn't have a kickstand. So I have a kickstand from a dude on the Adventure Rider forum that has made a little wing that he made that will weld on right here. So I have to weld that on. Then from there you could use the rest of the OE Honda Super Cub kickstand. That because in Japan and pretty much everywhere else I think their bike has a kickstand, but the U.S. market doesn't have one. So that's really silly. I'm like, what the hell? So I feel kind of cheated. By Honda to not have a kickstand on here, because the thing about this is that to get the bike, up, you have to get off the bike and kick down on the center stand to get up. A kickstand where you just kick you still be in a riding position, kick the kickstand down, and it's supporting itself. So that's like an extra step that you have to do with the Super Cub. A bike without a kickstand. So I didn't realize how annoying that was. And all these years I rode my scooter without a kickstand, and I didn't pay attention to it too much. But on the Super Cub, on this last trip I did, I was like, man, it got really annoying. It really bothered me. And partly because I was carrying luggage here, and I was carrying a gas tank here, so basically it was all top, it wasn't step to anymore, because the gas tank was like up this high, as high as the seat pretty much. So I still had to throw my leg over, and when you have to throw your leg over a bike that isn't standing by itself, you have to support the bike, and you have to throw your leg over to get off the bike, get on and off the bike while supporting the bike. It's a real pain in the butt. Unlike the scooter, it's different because the scooter, you have that much lower step through, because this one is like a middle level step through, whereas the scooter, the step through is like down where the shifter here is, so you don't have to step through too much, and so it's not as, basically you don't have to throw your leg over to get on or off as much, and that definitely made a difference. So I definitely will put that kickstand on, and I'll make a video of that when I weld the thing together. That's my biggest annoyance about this Super Cub, is that it doesn't have a kickstand. I love the cover, the chain cover. It's I rode 2,000 miles, and didn't clean the chain once, and it still looks pretty clean, you know, considering that I had 2,000 miles. And it's not all dried up either, surprisingly. So, you know, on a regular exposed chain, after 500 miles, actually even after like 200 or 300 miles, it's more dirty than this chain is at 2,000 miles. So I like that. You know, again, the Super Cub is all about its original purpose and intent was to be a utilitarian vehicle. You know, it was all about utility, and it still is. So that chain cover is one of those things. Let's see. So talk about the fit. You know, difference between the handling, big wheels, small wheels, engine wise. You know, a little bit about how it's tuned. Practicality. You know, no practicality at all, and much more practicality. Even though this practicality, it's all out. You know, it's all exposed. It's not like a scooter where you actually have like a locking trunk. This one, everything's exposed. So that's the main disadvantage of this, compared to like a modern scooter with the modern body designs, where you have a trunk underneath the seat, or I mean, I could put a top case back here, and that could be, you know, secured. But a top case doesn't look right with this style of bike. I think it looks cooler with a milk crate. Let's see what else. I can't think of anything else right now. So yeah. So those are the two bikes. And I enjoy both of them. They both have their purposes, and they both have different user experience. So I like both of them. I just need more time to ride them both. More time to ride them both. Now, what I would like is someone to come up with a suspension from the front and rear. I think Takigawa has rear shocks for this bike, but no one makes anything for the front. So I don't want to do just the rear shock only, because the balance will be off. You know, also the rear is better. It shows how horrible the front is, and it's really, you know, the balance will be off, and it really throws you off. So when you do, you know, change springs and stuff like that, you need to do them both front and back, so that way the bike stays balanced, feels balanced. Let's see. I think that's about it. Yeah. So that's basically the main difference between the two. Fuel mileage. They both get, you know, really good miles. You know, because when I did this, I was pretty much wide open the whole time with luggage. So, you know, my mileage just wasn't that great. I think the highest I got was about 100 miles a gallon. The lowest I got was probably 90 miles a gallon, I think. Around 90, or just under 90. Whereas the Monkey, the highest that I recorded anyways, was probably like 120-ish. And that was riding it. That wasn't taking it easy. I was riding it through the mountains. So that gets really good gas mileage. But I want to see how this performs now without, you know, carrying a load, carrying all that luggage and stuff. It should get even better mileage. So they both get great gas mileage. Only downside to the Super Cub is it only has a 1 gallon tank right here under the seat, whereas the Monkey has a 1.5 gallon tank. So this gets, you get further with this one before you need to get gas than you do with the Super Cub. But still, 100 plus miles a gallon ain't no joke. Yeah, I think that's about it. I guess you could talk about the luxuries. You know, both bikes are very, you know, Honda, you know, made both of these bikes to kind of fill a more luxury niche in the small replacement, especially the Super Cub in the small size. You know, it's kind of like the premium market for small size. This one's pretty premium too. You know, you compare this to say any of the other mini bikes. This is, you know, because it's all metal and mostly all metal. It's, you know, it has that more luxury, more premium feel and look to it. Same thing with the Super Cub. It has a very premium feel and look to it. The Super Cub has one thing that no other Honda bikes have, is I believe an alarm. I don't even think the Goldwing has an alarm. Does the Goldwing have an alarm? Or at least it's not standard. I think maybe you could get it as an option, but it's not standard. Whereas the Super Cub, it comes standard with an alarm, and also it has that keyless keyless fob, right? So that's completely new right there. No other Honda has this. So this is the first Honda motorcycle with the keyless fob, and I really like this so far. At first I was very doubtful about it. I was like, that's kind of gimmicky, whatever. But now that I've been using it, I really like it. And same thing with the car too. At first with the car, when I got my Miata, I was like, I don't know about keyless thing. It's like she seems like someone's so lazy they can't even put a freaking key into the ignition. But now that I've used both on the Super Cub and on the Miata, I really like it. You don't have to stick your hand in your pocket. You just in and out, and you don't even have to think about it. It makes it more seamless, basically. More smooth in whatever you're doing. There's one step that you eliminate, so it makes things a little bit more streamlined, basically. So actually I really like that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. So this video is getting long-winded, but yeah. So those are the two difference between the two bikes. So completely different user experience. That's the biggest thing that surprised me was how they feel. Even though they have the same engine, they feel like completely different bikes in the user experience. So yeah, so as a consumer, if you look at these two, you're like, oh, same engine, you're probably the same. So one is just like the other. It's not. It's completely different. It's like it's way different. It's like a like a Miata compared to, say, a Mazda 3. A Miata is like extremely fun to drive. I mean, the Mazda 3 is actually surprisingly fun to drive too for what it is, but it's not a Miata. It's not even close to its fun factor, and it's in its form, even though they basically share the same for the most part the same engine, with minor difference in tune, just like this one, shares the same engine but different tune, but completely different user experience between these two, and they really are different bikes. So that's the main thing, is that they really are different bikes. All right, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.